Here with us now is President of National Federation of Republican Women, Julie Harris, and Democratic strategist and former New York State Senator David Carlucci. Welcome to both of you. Good morning.
Morning.
Like I mentioned, Rubio now assuming two major roles in Trump's cabinet, Secretary of State and now interim National Security Advisor. I should mention he is also the acting administrator of USAID, and also the acting archivist for the National Archive. Julie, what does his rise tell you about the Trump administration currently and who the president is leaning on in his inner circle?
Well, Secretary Rubio is not only trusted by President Trump, but he's trusted by his colleagues. 100% confirmation in the Senate. He's trusted by the American people. He's showing us what true leadership is. He's showing us what one leader can do versus four bureaucrats. Now, some of these are temporary roles, so we expect them to be filled. But I have confidence in Senator Rubio, and so do the American people.
David, can one person handle both of these roles, even for a short time, effectively, and not to mention, again, the other roles as archivist and in charge of USAID?
Yeah, I think we can all agree that this is a race towards mediocrity. When you try to take on too many roles, you do none of them stellar. And I disagree with Julie because leadership is not about shedding all of your values and what you actually stood for. All Marco Rubio is doing is just being a vessel for Donald Trump. And yes, that's the job to some extent, but that doesn't show any true leadership. I don't know what Marco Rubio stands for anymore. I don't know who he is. If you look at his career as a U.S. senator, he's done pretty much a 180. Look what's going on in Ukraine. The fact that we saw those uncomfortable pictures, and it just shows that Marco Rubio is just this vessel. We don't know what he actually stands for anymore, and that's the unfortunate part. I wish him well. It is a very important job or jobs. We'll see what he has next. But I think the other part is all of us political pundits and even the public is just surprised that Marco Rubio hasn't been thrown under the bus already. And I think we're all expecting it, and it's just a matter of time.
Speaking of that, back in March. Go ahead, Julie.
I disagree with what you're saying completely. Marco Rubio is the same person he was when he was appointed secretary. Just because he is not taken to social media or going on newscasts to criticize the president does not mean that he's done a 180. And the National Federation of Republican Women is a grassroots organization. Our job is to be out there among the voters, among the people, and they are very happy and have a great deal of trust in Secretary Rubio.
All right, guys, let's turn to the economy. Just last week, we know it ended on a high note. That's good news. Warren Buffett, also known as the Oracle of Omaha, announced he's stepping down from his trillion-dollar company. He warned that the U.S. should not be using trade as a weapon, like Alicia and I were talking about. This is rare for him to make a comment about. So what is your reaction to Buffett's comments? And David, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I don't think it's rare for Warren Buffett to weigh in when there's such an important issue facing the markets. And everybody has to agree that this has just been catastrophic for the growth of our economy because of exactly what Warren Buffett is talking about. This added tax on the world and the American public is devastating for multiple reasons. Why? First, we're going to pay more for everything we buy. But second, like he said, it's not good when you make enemies with the rest of the world. And that's what's happened here. You talk to any of our allies, you really get into conversations with Canada, with Mexico, with the European Union. And what do they have to do now? They have to second guess the relationship, the friendship that we've had. This is not just about the economy. This is also about national security. Now we have nations talking about stockpiling nuclear weapons because they always counted on the United States. But now Donald Trump says you're not paying enough, then you're not going to get protection and support from your ally, the United States. It's not all about dollars and cents. It's about strategic relationships that ultimately lead to a safer world and a better economy.
Buffett's speaking out on trade as we hear that China is evaluating if it will talk tariffs with the U.S. Julie, could this put more pressure on the Trump administration to get these trade deals finalized?
What Warren Buffett is calling a weapon, President Trump is using as a negotiating tool. The results speak for themselves. Trillions of investments committed back to the U.S. This is about fairness. Countries have used trade barriers against us for decades. Now we finally have a president who will put American workers and American industries first. President Trump is doing exactly what America elected him to do.
Julie, I'm going to stick with you for a sec. The Fed meeting is next week. We know that Trump has been leaning on Jerome Powell to bring down interest rates. The Fed has signaled repeatedly they don't plan on doing that. So what should Trump's message be to Americans about the strength of the U.S. economy, especially considering that was one of his main campaign promises on the trail?
There are legitimate concerns that the Fed is not in line with our economic reality. We're seeing inflation cool. We know that energy prices are down, gas prices are down. Prescription prices are down, which is good for our seniors. The Fed should cut the price. These high interest rates are keeping American families from home ownership. We've seen job growth, 300,000 new jobs since January, 200,000 since March. Real wages for the middle and low income are on the rise. The Feds need to cut the price.
Well, and we saw the positive jobs report this week as well. David, I'll give you the last word.
Well, I'm just worried that President Trump will try to manipulate or try to influence the Fed to make artificial moves that might help us in the short term, but hurt us in the long term. And I'm just worried about that independence. So far, it's been interesting listening to Donald Trump talk about he could remove the chair if he wanted to, but he's not going to, but he might. These are problematic words and messages coming from the White House. The first thing is just that continued support for the system that we have that has worked so well. So I'm just worried about weighing in and doing something for the short-term gain for the long-term pain. And that could be very problematic and a precedent set that will be tragic for the system that has been set in place that has done so well on the world economy.
Julie Harris, David Carlucci, really appreciate you two this Sunday. Thank you again.
Great to be with you.